What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video of this 2019 career mode. We are in Spain this time, which is a stone's throw away from the last Grand Prix, to say the least. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. We've got Lando Norris on screen at the moment. This is probably one of the first races where the teams get their upgrade packages for the start of the season. You know, this is where the R&D development cycle really starts to kick in, and most teams get in their European updates for a very long road towards the rest of the season. Some teams probably not so much, you know, the likes of Williams, who will not be getting any upgrades because, you know, they can't afford it and stuff like that. But for sure, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, ourselves, Renault, McLaren, all of those teams will definitely be pumping in the upgrades. Now, qualifying is definitely going to be difficult, to say the least. You can see that we're not exactly slow per se by looking at the time before we set the lap, but obviously at the same token is definitely going to be incredibly difficult to you know, maintain what we have been doing so far this season. And if we can do anything, getting into Q3 is obviously the main goal. You can see we're setting our lap times here and making it through just about into Q3. It was quite close in the end, but it is for most sessions, to be fair for us. We do just about make it through. But into Q2 now, we're going to do our second run that's actually, you know, representable to the rest of the times. The first one we did in Q1 wasn't that great, so our second attempt here at a proper time, we actually ended up going pretty quick to be fair, but which, you know, we were the first car out on track, which, you know, makes sense. But on our second run, we did improve slightly, and we managed to sneak into Q3 P6, which is obviously, you know, it's great for us. It gives us a bit more confidence. The car feels good around here. We do feel quite competitive. Obviously, everything that happened in Baku with qualifying, was kind of wanted to make sure that we obviously did get through and actually ended up performing rather well and stuff like that, which is what we want, and we don't want any issues, to say the least. And unfortunately, I misplaced Q3, which is probably a bit weird. You're probably thinking, how do you misplace Q3? But going through the files, they save in 3 different places for me sometimes. It depends on what the game fancies, apparently. And yeah, I just misplaced Q3. Maybe I deleted it, or maybe I didn't record it. Pretty sure I didn't record it, but you know, it doesn't matter. We're past that point of caring anymore. So we're jumping straight into the race. Obviously, the driver's getting ready to go out. You will obviously see, you know, see the full grid, so it's not that bad. But yeah, for sure, obviously not ideal to misplace a qualifying session, and luckily we didn't misplace our qualifying position, to say the least. But pole position, Lewis Hamilton, surprise surprise, followed by Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc on the second row. Third row is comprised of Valtteri Bottas and Gasly. Ourselves P7, just out qualifying Sergio Perez. Butler in P9. That was really important, you know, that we actually got past him. Lucas Faber, on the other hand, nowhere to be seen. He had an awful qualifying down in 18th, just behind Lando Norris. And Kubica's back of the grid with a grid penalty, which is quite interesting, to say the least. But the strategy, now this is going to be definitely interesting for sure. The strategy is going to be very difficult. But we're waiting for the lights to go out for the Spanish Grand Prix. And we are underway. You can see a bit of wheel spin there from Bottas, a bit of wheel spin for ourselves. We've got the racing point of Perez just steaming around the outside. And they don't actually get away too much this side, so we're going to go all the way to the left-hand side and see what we can do. We get very close with Sergio Perez into turn 1. We maybe get a run up him onto the second and third corner, but unfortunately he just had better direction than we did. We're trying to make up some more time here. You can see we're just drifting out wide a bit too much, compromised our line, and we have Kevin Magnussen trying to stick his nose up our inside, so we're going to have to try and ward off his efforts into this right-hander, but luckily we just managed just about to get past it. And we don't have to worry too much about that. But Sergio Perez is the car we're hunting down the start finish straight on lap 2. You can see we're gaining hand over fist. We're going to pull alongside of him, but it's going to have to be a braking manoeuvre because we can't get quite past him, and we think better of it going into the right hander. There's no much point into turn 1 and ruin our race, especially on lap 2. It's definitely not worth it. But you can see we're keeping up with him. We're getting a lot better run than we did last time. Still going a little bit wide, but nowhere near as bad as we did on lap 1. He's going to cover to the inside, which is going to give us an opportunity here into the following corner. So we're going to take a nice tight line. He's going to be a little bit out of shape on the exit, and we're going to see our opportunity, and we're going to dive for it. He locks his tyres, we lock our tyres, we somehow get through one tyre on the grass for a very split second, but you can actually see he's stuck to us, which is quite weird. But we managed to pull off him, and we actually get the position on Sergio Perez, and we move up P7 just behind Pierre Gasly, the guy that we are effectively using as our rival in a sense, to try and maintain position. But you saw our teammate Alexander Albon is out of the Grand Prix, so we're going to come into the pits on P4. There's another yellow flag slowly nearby, and I'm not quite sure that is. There's a safety car for the first time in the season, and just as I pull out, the safety car comes out behind me. So this is either going to go extremely well for us or extremely bad, because we're going to be at the very back of the queue, depending on if everyone pits now, which oddly enough they didn't actually pit straight away. You can see a few cars in the pits now that we're actually going to jump. So we're going to go from P16 all the way up to, I believe, P12. So there was a few cars in there. There's Bottas, I think maybe one of the Ferraris, I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to tell, but you can see we're ready for the safety car to go in. We're about to get the restart on the way. We're behind Kubica, who is obviously behind the Alfa Romeo. We're going to come down the start finish straight, give it as much beans as possible on a lot more fresher tyres than these guys. They've been on their tyres for about 7 laps. It's probably about halfway through their stint, maybe. So we're going to have a lot more legs on them, depending on how quick we can navigate through the field. But Kubica's going to go to the inside. We're going to have to go all the way around the outside. We tried this on Perez, but it didn't actually work out for us. He actually hits us coming into the exit of turn 1. So we had to move down, and he just decides to clout in the back of us, which isn't great. So, position was done before we got hit. So that's, my excuse. We can see get a fantastic run on Kimi Räikkönen down the start finish straight. There wasn't really much competition until we turned our mixtures down, but easy pass on the inside for turn 1. So where you want to be, really. Job done. Simple, easy peasy is what we like to see. Now we've got the McLaren just ahead now, and this is going to be really close with Lando Norris to see what we can do. He's going to go to the left-hand side. We ideally want to go down his inside. It's going to be really tight on the edge. Norris giving us a bit of a squeeze. We managed to get the job done, but what I noticed as we just missed Vettel, Vettel as well as Verstappen and everyone else, they can't get past the cars ahead of them. They're literally stuck behind them, and they can't pass them. I'm not sure why they can't pass them, but they just physically can't. So we're in a position now where if we can catch up to them and make our tyres work, we can actually get past them, which is fantastic. Like just there, for example, getting past the Renault, it was really close, but at the same time, if we can make these tyres work and catch up to them while they're stuck behind other cars, then at this point we're really laughing, to be honest. You can see Vettel was stuck behind, I believe it's Weber, or was Weber, and we're just powering through, and we're just going to get closer and closer and closer, go to the left-hand side. It's going to be an almighty move into turn 1 on Sebastian Vettel. We come so close to touching, and we actually get the move done, and that was an amazing move into turn 1 on Vettel. He just couldn't make his inroads. He just couldn't physically do it, and he's struggling. By this point he's pitted, but he's not making use of his tyres. We got, I believe that is Lance Stroll just ahead of us, so Lance Stroll is going to be the next victim we are going to try and overtake and make up a position on, and slam dunk, easy peasy, just as you'd like it really. You can see he's going to come to the inside, and he's going to actually make a little bit of contact with us, which is it's ridiculous. Verstappen, easy peasy. Like, we are literally cutting through these. I know tomorrow now we've got the Haas as well. It's just, we're absolutely flying through these cars at the moment. There's so much of an advantage on these tyres. Like, it's insane to think how much of an advantage we have. But come down start finish straight, you can see we are moving into P2. Hamilton did actually get away, and we've actually got Verstappen behind us. But we're going to come into the pit lane for our next stop, and this will be our final stop. It's going to be interesting to see where we do filter out. We've actually got, I believe that's Leclerc coming in behind us as well. So Leclerc thinking what we're thinking, just taking it easy, get on to a new set of tyres, and then just absolutely bombing it for the rest of the Grand Prix. But we're going to put on the hard compound tyre for the last thing, just to make sure we've got enough grip. We could probably run the mediums, but at the same time, we don't want to run out of tyre, which would probably be one of the worst things that we could actually do for ourselves. But coming out, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do and where we're going to get, because I reckon in clean air we ain't going to have an answer for these cars, the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, the Mercedes and stuff like that. But you can see we've got Sebastian Vettel coming out just ahead of us. We're going to go all the way around the outside, very similar to our overtake on him, and we managed to get it done. But like I said about 2 seconds ago, we are not going to be able to handle him in normal racing conditions, without the pit stops and stuff like that. You can see going wide, and he's going to force his way up or inside. We can't fight back. We don't have the tyres, because although it's not that much difference, he has got a bit of a tyre advantage on us. He's got the horsepower advantage, downforce advantage, the psychological advantage, and it's just not great. Leclerc is now going to take his position back from us. That's another position we lose to a front running team. Again, not much we can do. We are just fighting to see what we can get, what scraps we can get and stuff like that. There's a fastest lap set there by Leclerc. You got the Mercedes of, I believe that was Bottas, who is now behind us for the time being. But at the same time, it's going to be difficult to keep him behind us, because again, Mercedes machinery against Toro Rosso, it's probably going to be about a slam dunk case. If I'm honest, you can see we get a bit of squirt sideways on the exit, which is going to give Bottas the inside line for the hairpin, and he's not going to say no to that. He locks up a little bit, so I sniff there's maybe an opportunity to get past him, but unfortunately we couldn't actually make the move. So Bottas does get ahead of us, but we're going to try and fight back here. We're going to try and keep as close to his gearbox as possible, and see if we can make a move down the start-finish straight. We're going to see. We're not actually losing that much time, all things considered. He's on the soft tire, medium tire, sorry. So he's on 1 compound softer than we are. Through this section, which I would have thought you'd have noticed it the most. But obviously we're going to have DRS, we're going to absolutely full beans it down the straight. DRS, rich mix, overtake mode, and we're going to see if we can actually get past Bottas. It's looking very likely that we're going to get past him before even into the braking zone. We're on the grass a little bit there, but we get the move done before we even get into the braking zone, turn 1, and we ain't got to worry about that too much, but we almost cut the curb. We're a little bit all over the track at the moment. We've got the move done on Bottas, which is obviously perfect for us, but however, good things don't last forever, and Bottas is going to fly by past us. We did try and squeeze him a little bit, see if that would make a difference, but you know, Bottas in that Mercedes, you know, there's just no way we're going to do that. We managed to hold off though. Gasly couldn't catch up to us in time. We just managed to just keep the foot down, and we're going to come home P6, assuming I can approach this last corner like a normal person, which we can. So we are going to come home in P6 here in Spain, ahead of Pierre Gasly again. So I believe that's the 3rd time. 3 out of 5 races we've beaten Pierre now. I think he had us in Bahrain and Australia, but we've had him ever since China onwards. So I think we've gotten in his head a little bit where we beat him in China. We really showed him up in China. Baku, he struggled really bad with a damage to his car. We've beaten him in Spain. He couldn't catch up to us, mostly down to good strategy. I reckon in a straight fight we wouldn't have had a chance. But you know, Gasly's head's going to be starting to turn a little bit, like thinking, I'm going to be struggling to keep this seat if this continues, which, you know, it's fantastic for us. It's a great problem for us to have. And obviously same for Dr. Helmut Marko. He wants to have that kind of opportunity. But Verstappen on the podium with Sebastian Vettel. So Verstappen had a good result. I thought at one point Verstappen was in a net P1. I thought there was an opportunity he probably could have won. But Hamilton being Hamilton, he just absolutely flew away. Like, you couldn't write it really. It was just, it's, you know, it's 2019 Hamilton, like, he's just absolutely checked out. But how long this streak will go on for, I do not know. But here's the results. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, Charlie Leclerc, Bottas, ourselves, Gasly. I'm assuming that's Hulkenberg there, followed by, I believe, is that Lando Norris? Is that Lando Norris in the points? I don't believe it. And look at that, P10, P bloody 10. That's a George Russell. Unbelievable scenes. George Russell's gotten a point. He has nicked a point off of Sergio Perez. That's insane, that is. I tell you, that's absolutely mental. So that is it for the Spanish Grand Prix. As you can see, we're just going through our rivals and stuff like that. Got to look at some R&D stuff, you know, all that technical stuff that you guys, I'm assuming you probably like to a certain degree. I know a few of you really can't be bothered with it. But at the same time, you know, we need to develop the car as best we can if we want to try and reclaim that spot off Renault, because Renault are actually underperforming at the moment, but they're a lot higher in the championship than us, as well as Racing Point. I believe Racing Point are probably our main rivals in terms of the constructors. But you know, it's going to be difficult for sure. Along the way, we've got a lot of ground to make up, especially after the first few races. I didn't really perform at my best in Bahrain or Australia. I don't believe we got points in the first race, which I definitely don't think we did. But you know, we've got an abundance of R&D points to explore and to chuck at the car and hopefully improve, which is most likely going to be the downforce. That's one aspect we definitely need to improve on. As we come to the next race, with any luck, some of our R&D parts will obviously come in and stuff like that. We have an invitational event, which are always fun, to say the least. But you know, it's difficult. There's the championship. Yeah, Sergio Perez is ahead of us, and I believe they had Racing Point as well. So you know, we've got a lot of ground to make up, but we'll worry about that later on in the season when we've got plenty of time to faff around with the car and see what we could do. But that's been it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time in Monaco. God help us. Take care. Bye bye.